Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Ask Tari, Ask Me Anything. So this video is about moving to Canada. As some of you know, I moved to Canada last year in May, and I've had a lot of questions from different people who want to move as well. They've been asking me, Tari, how did you go about it? Can you let us know what you did? So I have tried to explain, and I have created several groups on WhatsApp, but I always felt that at some point I needed to make a video to really explain maybe in detail. Hopefully this will help someone else who's been struggling to understand the links and all of that. This might help. So I plan to make many other videos just breaking down this process. So today's video is basically just a summary of what you need to do if you want to move to Canada as a permanent resident. We will look into other ways of moving to Canada through other means. In other videos, I'm still doing a lot of research on that. I'm still talking to a lot of people who moved to Canada, for example, through study visas, through the Atlantic pilot program, and all of that. And once I have all the adequate information, I'll do the video. I'll probably bring in a guest who used that program, and they will help us and tell us what they did. So, Canada Express entry. So I wrote this list of requirements, like your to-do list if you want to move to Canada. But before I show you this list, I need you to understand something. This process, it takes a lot from you. It drains you. It takes a lot of resources. It will take your money, and it will be very nerve-wracking, right? Because there will be a lot of waiting involved. So before you begin this, you need to really decide, do I really want to move to Canada? Do I have what it takes to make sure I complete and I finish this through? Do I have the time and willingness to do my research? I would like to think that you don't really need an agent in order to do this process. It's just adding to your cost. I feel that if you do your research, if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, if you practice your English, again, use YouTube or these free sites that are there on the internet, you can surely move to Canada on your own. You will not need an agent. So hopefully my video will help you guys, because that's what I did. I did not use an agent. I did this on my own, and I had some colleagues who were helping me, who were also doing the process, who just gave me information. We used to share information, and we used to encourage each other. Okay, so I wrote down this list. Canada Express entry. So these are the requirements for moving to Canada as a permanent resident. I hope this is clear. So we look at the first requirement. I'm gonna look at the one I have here. The first requirement is ECA. ECA stands for Educational Credentials Assessment. We will do a video on that, but it will be a really short one, right? So in order to be assessed, you need to go through this organization called the World Educational Services Canada. It basically looks at the equivalent of your qualification. So if you have a degree, for example, I had a degree from South Africa. They will assess if it's a 3-year degree, if it's a 4-year degree. They will see if it matches with a 3-year or 4-year Canadian degree. If you have a master's, they will see if it also equates to a Canadian master's. If you have a professional qualification, for example, one of the professional qualifications they accept, like in accounting, we've got a CCA, we've got ACA, we've got ICAS, and all of those things. They'll assess and see if you get a degree, you get a master's, or what, in the Canadian equivalents. So this ECA roughly costs around $150 from the time that I did it. So I'm not sure if that has increased, but I doubt. If it has increased, maybe by $5 or $10 or so. The second thing is the IELTS, the English test. This is the most important thing when applying for express entry, because they look at factors such as your age, your education, your work experience, right? I feel like those are things you can't change, right? You can't really change how old you are. If you're past 30, you're past 30. If you're below 25, you're below 25. But with English, you definitely can change, you can improve your score. So I cannot stress this enough. this is not a test that is going to be easy, because you want to get the highest mark possible. This is not a test where you think, well, if I get a 50%, it's good. It doesn't work that way. You need to show English proficiency, right, to get more marks. Because this express entry program, the way it works, you will be ranked with other professionals, other people from many different countries, and you want to have a score which will give you an invitation. You understand? Okay, so that's the English test. And English test in Zimbabwe, you just go on the British Council website and just make your inquiries. It's the general English test. We'll do a video on that as well. So with English, it will cost you around $265 US. All right. And I know it took me about, I think I studied the English test for about a week. I used online materials. I practiced with friends. I watched YouTube videos, and I had a very good score. I had band 9 in English, and yeah, it took a lot of practice. I did not just go into the exam, because that is a recipe for failure. They will test your speaking, they will test your listening, they will test your writing, they will test your reading, right? And yeah, it can be a bit challenging if you're not prepared and if you haven't practiced before. So after you've done the English test and your ECA and you're satisfied with your score, you can then create a profile. And this is on the Government of Canada website, right? I will show you the link to the website on the yeah. So the Government of Canada website is very good. It's got so much information. It can even tell you all these things that I'm telling you. I will show you the link on how to calculate your score and all of those things, right? So after you create your profile, then you wait for your invitation. So when I did it, they would do a draw, I think every 2 weeks. So I waited about 2 weeks, and then I got my invitation to apply. So once you get your invitation to apply, that's when everything is needed. So when you create your account, you should start preparing your documents, getting your police clearances. Let's see, what do they need? Police clearance. Like I studied in South Africa and Zimbabwe, so I had to get a police clearance from South Africa. I had to get a police clearance from Zimbabwe. So if you've lived in many different countries for up to 3 years, if it was study, you need to get police clearances for those countries. They will want like your work reference letters. I had to get a work reference letter from my boss. You have to, what else do you need? It's been so long. Your travel history. Look through your passports, find out where you've been, prepare to fill that information up because it's going to be needed. Where you've stayed for the past 10 years, they'll need all that. They'll need your certificates, all your educational qualifications, and all of that. That'll be needed. And so, you also need to do your medicals, right? They will test you for HIV, they will test you for diabetes, cancer. They'll test your body, they'll check your weight, they'll check your BMI, they'll check everything. They'll just try to see that you are healthy, because they do not want to be taking people who are going to be a burden to the health system. They want the productive people. They want you to come and work, right? So after you're done with that, then you have to submit your documentation. After you submit your documentation, then the wait begins. Now this process, it used to take 5 to 6 months, I think, approximately, the wait. But now it can take up to 8 months, up to 10 months, up to a year, because there is a lot of competition now. There's a lot of people that are applying. There are a lot more invitations being given to people, right? So those are the things that you need for Canadian express entry. You also need proof of funds. We'll get into that. There is money that is required for you to move as a permanent resident. We will look at it on the website when we are now looking at the laptop. So I think, yeah, the proof of funds can be a big hurdle for a lot of people. But if you are planning your things and you really want to move, you just have to make a plan to find those funds, or you can borrow the money like a loan, or you can get a gift from your relatives, and all of that. They don't really want it to be a loan, but you just never know. Your relative can give you a loan which you can pay back in like 10 years or something. You just never know. So anyway, that's that. So the minimum requirements, just to recap, for express entry, they want skilled work experience, language ability, and education. So this process, it eliminates those that are not as educated, those that don't have qualifications like diplomas, degrees, and all of that. It sort of like eliminates those. But we will do a video about how to move to Canada when you're not a skilled worker, right? There are other ways for you to come, so don't despair, right? So my timeline. So I decided to move to Canada in June 2018. Before that, I used to research about it, and I would be very lazy. I would ask other people like, so how did you move to Canada? And then they'll start to explain, and then I'll just zone out. Like, yeah, I was at that lazy phase where I just I wanted to move, but I just didn't have the energy for it yet. That's why I keep saying, when you want to do this process, you need to have come to a decision that I really want to leave this country, right? So I decided June 2018. And then what did I do? I'm the kind of person that when I decide I want something, I'll just go for it. I don't even have to think about it once I get to that decision. So as soon as I started my ECA. So with WES, you go on their website, you pay your money, you pay first. Then they give you the reference number. After they give you the reference number, you then have to email all the institutions you have studied at. If you had listed that you have a degree at Great Zimbabwe University or at the University of Cape Town, and you've got another master's at the University of Cambridge or whatever, you then have to mail those universities and ask them to send your transcripts directly to us, and they have to quote that reference number. If you're getting those documents yourself from the university, they will need to be sealed, and then you have to send them to WES. So after WES receives those documents, it will take them about 2 weeks to a month to then process and then send you your credentials evaluation. Your evaluation will be posted to you, and there's another one which will go straight to Immigration Canada, right? So that's ECA. After that, I went and wrote my IELTS. I was very nervous, especially the listening test. Imagine just having headphones in your ear and you're listening to things, and you have to write things down, you have to remember things. Like our educational system, I don't think we were really ever tested on listening that much, like that kind of testing. So nothing prepares you for it. So you need to really practice the listening test. Reading and writing, I think those will be the most easy for us. And speaking, again, we were not really tested. It wasn't part of our exams. Of course, we would read out loud in class, but it was not part of our education system to actually go into an exam for speaking, like being interviewed, being asked certain things, and having to prove that you can respond, you can articulate yourself, you can pronounce words. Yeah, so that's what they'll be basically testing. After I did that, I got my English results first. 2 weeks later, I think, and then the ECA came later in August. That's when I created my account, and then I waited for my invitation to apply, which came in August. So after that, there comes AOR. AOR is acknowledgement of receipt. This is when they acknowledge that we have received your application, you've entered everything, you've done everything, you've given us proof, bank statements, etc, etc, etc. So my AOR came in November because I took a while to submit my application because I had to get a police clearance from South Africa, and boy, yeah, that was very taxing. It took a long time just to get a police clearance from South Africa. It took me about 3 weeks to a month to get it. I got my fingerprints done in Zimbabwe, then I posted them to a friend in South Africa. She then went with them to the police station, and she had to wait until it was done to collect and then send me the police clearance. What's next? Oh yeah. So after you submit, the biggest weight of your life, I'm talking the biggest weight of your life begins. Imagine I waited from November 2019 to April 2020. Oh, sorry, November 2018 to April 2019. It was nerve-wracking. Because I mean, I have a workmate who submitted her application in August and she got her invitation in September. It took like a month. And there I was waiting almost 5.5 months. And you know what happens when you wait long? Sometimes your application gets rejected. Sometimes they'll tell you you missed some information or we need more information. And that only means a longer wait for you. So I was very nervous. You just never know what's going to happen. But you just have to wait. I did not get any ghost updates. A ghost update is when they open your account and they touch it up, they look at it, and then you get an email saying that your profile has been opened or something like that, has been viewed or what. I got no such thing. The only update I got was the medical, that I passed my medical. You need to pass your medical in order for them to look further into your application. So yeah, that passed. And after that, after I passed the medical, I never heard from them ever again. Until April, just before Easter. That's when I got the golden email. It's basically an email telling you to go and get your visa. Go and bring your passport to the visa office in Harare. I moved from Zimbabwe to Canada. Go and come and give us your passport, and then we'll give you your visa, and we'll let you know. So I went with my passport. It took about a week and a half, and it was back. I had my visa, and I could move to Canada. Now, before I got my PR, I always used to say, if I get my PR, I'll take 3 months, 4 months and go travel and then move to Canada. As soon as I got it, guys, I was already booking flights. Okay, I was ready. I was prepared to move. And it's understandable given the situation back home right now. It's everybody, I think most people's dream to just leave the country and go seek a better life, especially the productive youth between 20 to 30. Yeah, so that's that. So this is just the brief. From here now, I'm gonna go to a separate segment where we are gonna be looking at my computer. I'm gonna be showing you how to check your eligibility, how to check how many points you have. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're back. We're now on the Government of Canada website. How I usually find this website, I just type into my browser Canada Express Entry and I just look for the link which says canada.ca. That's their website. So this site has got all the information you need about Canada, whether you want to visitor's visa, whether you just want to inquire, whether you want to learn about the tax system, how to live, everything about Canada, they have it. So try to be friends with this website right here. I hope this is clear. Yeah, okay. So this is where we are at now. Remember I was telling you about when you have your invitation to apply. This is how you create the account to get into the system so that you enter your English results and your ECA. So this is where it's at after you have those two things. But right now what we want to do, we want to skip to the eligibility, right? So you see, it will tell you everything, how Express Entry works, application process and eligibility, including work experience, education and language skills. Remember I told you these are the prerequisites. Getting the documents, submitting your profile, and then applying for permanent residence if you are invited, all of those, right? So what we want to look for is checking your eligibility and seeing how much your score is. So here we are, right? So for this one, let's look at a particular example. Let's look at the example of me. Let me switch on my light. Okay. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong board. Okay. So this was my profile when I moved to Canada. I was 28 and my ECA, it gave me 2 degrees. And my work experience was 4+ years, no Canadian experience, no siblings in Canada. This was my band in English. I had 9 in listening, that's the maximum score. I had 8.5 in speaking, I had 7 in writing. Yeah, writing was a challenge. You need to practice a lot there. I had a 9 in reading. And then no French, no spouse, no kids, no qualification certificate from a province. So this is the profile that we're going to work with in order to calculate this score, right? Let me put that right there. Oh guys, before I forget, please don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to the channel and to share with your friends who also want to visit Canada. I will share this link in the Canada groups. If you want to be added in the Zimbos Moving to Canada groups, just send me a message, put a message or on my Twitter account. I'll put the link and my Twitter handle, so you can communicate with me in the comments or on my Twitter profile, or my email address. It's also on my profile, so that I can add you to the groups. Even though these groups, they say Zimbos Moving to Canada, this process is the process followed by anyone around the world who wants to move to Canada. So anyone can pretty much join, no discrimination here. When I moved to Canada, I was in a lot of Indian groups. I was following a lot of Facebook posts and YouTube channels done by Indian people. So yeah, no discrimination, everybody is welcome. So let's check the score. Right. So this tool is for guidance, right, and reference purposes. This tool will help you calculate your comprehensive ranking system score based on the answers you provide below. This is a points-based system that we use to assess and score your profile and rank it in the express entry pool. It's used to assess your skills, education, language ability, work experience, and other factors, right? All right. What is your marital status? So we're using the profile Yatari. Single. Where is single here? Never married, single. How old are you? Right? At the time I was 28. What is your level of education? I had 2 or more certificates, diplomas, or degrees. This was my score. So you see, you get more points as you go up from secondary diploma. This one, you get more points as you get to doctoral level, master's degree, and all of that. So I was here, right? Have you earned a Canadian degree, diploma, or certificate? No. Official languages. Canada's official languages are English and French. You need to submit language test results that are less than 2 years old for all programs. So if you wrote IELTS 2 years ago, it's probably expired. You need to write again. Are your test results less than 2 years old? Yes. Which language test did you take? Most of us are going to take IELTS. So speaking, I had an 8.5, so it fit here. Listening, I had a 9. Reading, I had a 9. Writing, I had a 7. So as you can see, English test is something which you can change, right? And the ideal score in order to be eligible for this express entry is should be 8, 7, 7, 7. 8 in speaking, 7 in listening, 7 in reading, 7 in writing. I hope I'm correct there. There's one which has 8 between speaking and listening. So you can improve your English to get more points. Do you have any other language results? I do not. If you did French, you are very lucky. Work experience. In the last 10 years, how many years of skilled work experience in Canada do you have? None or less than a year, because I never worked in Canada. If you ever worked in Canada, you're lucky. In the last 10 years, how many years of foreign skilled work experience do you have? I had 3 years or more. Now, for you to get points, you need to have worked for at least a year. So those university graduates that want to move to Canada, you need to have worked at least a year, okay? Do you have a certificate of qualification from a Canadian province? No. Do you have a valid job offer? No, I did not have a job offer. Do you have a nomination certificate from a province? No. So the maximum points you can get with express entry for age is if you're between 20 and 30. So if you're above 30, there are people who have to apply to provinces in order to get a nomination certificate. This will boost your points in order for you to move to Canada. Otherwise, without that, you would not be able to get an invitation. So we'll look more into provincial nomination later on, right? Do you have a sibling? Do you or your spouse have at least one brother or sister living in Canada who is a citizen or permanent resident? I did not have one, but lucky for my siblings, now they do. So this cannot be a cousin, guys. A lot of people have asked, Tari, what if my cousin stays there, my father's brother's child? No, that does not work. It has to be one of your parents' child. It has to be an adopted sibling or a step sibling. That's it. So that was no for me, right? So calculate the score. So the maximum amount of points is 1,200, right? So they will even show you the human capital factors. This is age, level of education, and study, right? So for the human capital factors, I had 371. And then we went to the spouse factors. I had nothing. So if you have a spouse, you could stand a chance of getting more points if their points are very high in their English or their work experience or their education. Skill transferability factors, official language proficiency, I had 50 points. Foreign work experience, 50 points. So skill transferability factors, 100. So you see, if you interchange, if you change the qualifications and the education, you see that the points would change drastically. Job offer, nothing, right? So you see, I had 471 points. And when I did the Canada Express entry in 2018, the minimum score was 440. So it was very easy for me to get an invitation, right? But now the minimum score is at 471, 472. That's where it is right now. So you can see how points have gone up. So it's now very difficult to get an invitation to apply if you don't have a sibling, if you don't have a provincial nomination, if you don't have a master's or a PhD, if you're my age, you understand? So this is for someone who is between 20 and 28. If you are 30, let's see. Let's change the age and see how many points this would be. Just a trial and error, right? Let's say we are 31 here. Let's see how much this would change. So you can see age, 99 points. It's now 360. If we scroll down, 460. So you see where the problems begin. If you are 28, 29 and you want to move to Canada, I suggest you get to it now, because you can still get this invitation without any problems. Let's put the age back and try to go to education. If you have a master's degree, let's see how many points you'd have. Okay, you see the age when you're below 30, 110. When you're above 30, it goes down to 99. Anyway, let's go back to education. See, it's now 478. 7 more points just for having a master's degree. Worse if it's a PhD. So let's put that back. Let's put it back to 2 or more degrees. And then let's change the English result, right? Let's put the speaking at 7, the listening at 8, reading at 7. Let's see how much we would have. So this is the guide that you need to use, right? For all those that want to know, because usually a person will come and say, I am 30 years old, I work, I do this. Am I eligible? So this is how you know you're eligible, guys. It's very easy. Yeah. See, 462. So you need to work really hard at your English, get the maximum points, so that you can get the most points. So yeah, this is basically it, guys, for today. This is how you would move to Canada through the Express Entry program. I know I did say we would talk about proof of funds. So let me try to find where proof of funds is on the site. Let's just do this together. it works. By the time you get used to this website, you will love it very much. It will be very easy. As you can see, there are all these other charges that are there, but we'll talk about that in a later video. I'll do a video about the cost to apply for permanent residency. Where do I find that? I can give you a I think just an indication for a single person. In my case, I needed to have about 10,000 United States dollars in my account, which translated to about 12,000 something Canadian dollars. That's the minimum amount that they needed as proof of funds. Now, proof of funds is not money that goes to the government. It's money that you will spend when you move to Canada in the first 3 months when you're looking for a job. Now, job hunting can take a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months. So you need money to pay for rent, to pay for your expenses, right? So that's why they need you to have this money. So if you have a relative who is willing to give you money, and you'd have to get a gift deed, to write down a gift deed to prove to the government that the relative has gifted you money. If you're going to sell your car, you need to produce proof that you sold the car. You just need to prove that these are your funds and they are not a loan, and you're not supposed to give them back to anyone. It's not a bank loan. It's not a what. It's money that is yours. So yeah, basically that's it. So if you have any questions, guys, please let me know. I'm going to show you my Twitter page so that you can follow me there. And okay, so ask me anything. My Twitter page is Tariwema Dimples. You can ask me about relationships if you want public opinion or to hear what I have to say. If you want to know about the keto diet, I've just started the keto diet with some amazing results, and I have a lot to say about that. On some segments on my channel, I'll be talking about that and providing before and after pictures, and you know, about Canada. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. So this is my Twitter page, Ask Tari or Tariwema Dimples. And I also want to give a shout out to this company that I have partnered with that are managing my social media accounts for me. They've really been assisting me, and you know, I've learned a lot from these guys. Blue Design Agency. Let me just show it to you. Blue Design Agency on Twitter. They are based in Zimbabwe. So they do website design, graphic design, Android, iOS app design, search engine optimization, Google AdWords, social media management, and IT support. So I'm their brand ambassador on Twitter. And in turn, they assist me with any help that I need, you know, with this whole tech stuff. It's tough. See, these are some of the things that they do. Website design for free. You only pay for your hosting. Are you still using Gmail for your business? They'll rectify it for you. Yeah, so also follow them, Blue Design AG on Twitter. All right, thank you so much, guys. Please share this video with your friends who also want to move to Canada, and do let me know on Twitter or on my email. I put my email on my just below on the links. Just let me know what else you want me to talk about, what else you want to know about this process of moving to Canada, and what other content you would want to have on this vlog. Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.